Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. This week, we're not going to talk about Power Squared. We're going to talk about Christmas.
Yes.
Tis the time of the season to talk about Christmas movies and Christmas movies on Trophy Unlocked, I like to say our sister blog. But you started that before we started doing Power Squared.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Trophy Unlocked.
Well, I started it over a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to. I was really into reviews at the time, and so I wanted to do my own. So I made the blog, and then I made a bunch of posts that obviously I don't like anymore because I think I'm a better writer now.
Yeah.
But I think I've gotten better at it and eventually developed my own style of it. The point was to talk about movies and video games, and it didn't matter what genre or time period it was.
Right, and then Trevor was writing for you, and then I started writing for you as well.
Yeah.
And now you have over 1,400.
Yeah.
Working towards 1,500.
Yes.
And posts reviews.
Yeah.
And every year I guess around Halloween we do Halloween horror films or Halloween movies, and then around Christmas we do Christmas films.
Yes, and a few years ago we started doing it where during Batman month we put up Batman.
Right. All right. So let's talk about before we talk about what's on the blog. What's a favorite Christmas movie of yours? And you can have more than one if you.
Right. Hard for me to think about it on the spot. I'm not. That was a hard question to answer because a lot of them are good.
Yeah. Is there one you like to see every year or every other year?
Well, obviously one of them is why not obvious maybe. One of them is, I guess, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, that always makes me cry. Even though I've seen it like about 30 times. Every time I watch it, I get a little teary.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
Yeah.
There are one I don't remember the name of.
Okay.
Where they're in a where that's someone's away from the home, so people live in it, and then
it happened on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah,
that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
That was kind of a surprise that we like it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
It happened on Fifth Avenue.
And another one I like is Shop Around the Corner.
Yeah, okay. So now you're taking my my films. I like those. I also kind of like The Bishop's Wife. Cary Grant really doesn't make a bad movie. And there's some special effects that could be a lot better in the movie, but for the time period, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's heartwarming kind of story. Yeah. There's a lot of, Christmas has become kind of a commodity with films. I mean, the Hallmark Channel must crank out 30 a year or something. And not, and then we've seen that, like we were talking about, was it Snow Globe and Snow Globe Christmas?
Yeah.
Those are kind of like the same plot, They just sort of kind of cookie cutter them out. So, but, so I thought we'd talk a little bit about the movies that we've already reviewed, and talk about the movies we're going to review.
Yeah.
Or actually have reviewed and will be up on the blog later this month.
Yeah.
So the first Christmas movie we did review was The Bishop's Wife.
Yeah.
And I think and then Shop Around the Corner, and It's a Wonderful Life. You can top four there. Arthur Christmas.
Oh yeah, that one's also really good.
That's from the same people that did Wallace and Gromit.
I
don't know why I keep thinking it's that kind of a movie.
Well, I know Sony put it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, All right, and then we
Yeah, I
also
think that was Aardman.
if a movie takes place at Christmas or
Yeah.
has something significant about it. So one of the movies on our Christmas list is 3 Days of the Condor, because that also takes place around Christmas.
I think one year we did a bunch of Christmas adjacent
Right.
movies.
Lady and the Tramp, there's some Christmas in there.
Yeah.
And of course, last year our debate was, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
And we decided that, yes, it is a Christmas movie. And which also means that Die Hard 2, which
Yes.
takes place at Christmas, is a Christmas movie as well.
Yes.
And then Red, because some part of that takes place at the beginning of, I think the beginning takes place around Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts at Christmas.
And so that was sort of our Bruce Willis trilogy of Christmas movies. We've also done Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah, I should probably give that movie another shot at some point.
Yeah, isn't that?
Is it-
It's kind of like the same idea of Nightmare Before Christmas, isn't it? Where there's different kind of people running the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that same idea where it's Rise of the Guardians. You see a bunch of characters representative of the different holidays.
Right.
Like I believe Santa is in there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's why it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Lady in the Lake is a film noir. Robert Montgomery directed it, and it takes place at Christmas time, so
Yes.
it qualifies. And it's all first person, so you see everything from his point of view,
Yeah.
which is kind of an interesting technique, and it gets a little like hard. When he kisses a girl, seeing her lips go, it's a little weird at times.
Yeah.
But I think it's a pretty good story at least.
I have gotten confirmation that Arthur Christmas is indeed Aardman.
All right, good for me. Things to Come. It's a H.G. Wells story that starts at Christmas, so it became a Christmas movie on
Yeah.
our list. It's a little bit about kind of this future idea of how the world will get effed up, which, always happens. My Favorite Wife, again, Cary Grant, Irene Dunn, and it takes place, the end of the film takes place at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And we see him, dressed up as Santa towards the end. The Man Who Came to Dinner, remember that?
Kind of.
Kind of a pompous radio personality, comes to a small town and
Yeah.
gets injured, and so he's laid up, and he stays way past the fact he's healed.
Yeah.
And Christmas comes in, and he gets doesn't he get octopus for Christmas?
Yeah.
And, yeah, a bunch of stuff. And Jimmy Durante comes to visit him, and as a character, not Jimmy Durante.
Right.
And it's got Betty Davis, Nan Sheridan, and Monty Woolley, who is also in The Bishop's Wife as well. For a guy that you would think of as Mr. Christmas, he's in a couple big classics. Bachelor Mother.
I'm not sure I remember that one.
It's kind of it's Ginger Rogers, who I think is great. It's a little kind of wonky story. I mean, it's this shop girl. Somebody leaves her a baby, and so everybody assumes it's hers, even though they've never seen her be pregnant or anything, right? And so that's how scandalous a single woman in the 30s having a baby is, and that her boss David Nivens and his father who runs the store sort of kind of take her in and act like the kid is, his father assumes the kid is his for whatever reason. It's kind of a little, not the best plot, but they were cranking them out, and it's kind of famous in its way. Remember the Night?
I'm not sure I remember that one.
Okay.
Ironically.
It is, yeah. It's Barbara Stanwyck and I can't remember his name, Fred McMurray, sorry, who were actually in Double Indemnity together.
Right.
This is them in a Christmas movie together. She is a kind of a small-time thief in New York who he's a district attorney trying to put her in jail for shoplifting. and he takes pity on her, and he's going back to his home in Indiana, I think, and so he bails her out and takes her with him, and they sort of develop sort of a relationship, and his family's very loving towards her, and
Right.
and then he has to go back, and then I think he gets her out of jail at the end. There's A Christmas Story.
Yes, that one comes up a lot. I think
Probably turn right now and watch it on TBS. I bet it's on.
yeah, TBS has had 24-hour marathons of that.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd watch a 24-hour marathon.
No, it's it's fun to watch once or twice.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not one of my favorite.
Maybe it's a little overexposed.
Yeah, a little bit. And there was a sequel made, and now there's another kind of revisiting movie.
Yeah.
That's out. They have to have three. Or just have one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a classic. Let's make a second. It happened on Fifth Avenue. We were talking about that,
yeah.
which is really a lot of fun. And if you've never seen it, you should watch it. It's really good. Holiday is Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant again. It takes place kind of around the holidays. I think almost more like New Year's than Christmas, but it's on our Christmas list.
Yeah.
He's sort of, I think he's there with one sister and ends up with the other sister, and because they have a lot in common, and they're free spirits and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of weird that at the time, I want to say it was probably in the 1938, sort of during the Depression, he's sort of like, why should I work? I should just, the attitude he had was a little
Off.
left of center. But,
Yeah.
it's, enjoyable film. Then there's Roadblock, of course, everyone's favorite. Now it takes place at Christmas. It's a film noir. There are several. So we were pretty broad. It wasn't. I don't think we have any like really totally religious films in here.
No.
But we're if it takes place at Christmas, it's a Christmas film, and so this is a.
That's sort of the purpose of the blog.
Yeah. So now we get into.
A bazillion versions of.
Yes. This book, A Christmas Carol, by Charles Dickens, is responsible for a ton of movies, and they're still doing it. I mean, there's the thing on Apple with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. It's sort of a takeoff on this again, like Scrooged.
Yeah.
So we've watched a lot of the movies and reviewed them all, and sometimes they're surprise, very similar plots.
Yes.
So
actually, if you watch a lot of versions of that movie in a row, you will memorize almost all the dialogue.
Yeah, and it's hard not to have there are certain things you have to have in the movie.
Yeah.
Certain things they have to say, and certain times they have to say them, or it just doesn't work.
Like decreasing the surplus population.
Right. And that's, again, right out of the book.
Yeah.
So this book is sort of a roadmap. I was thinking about, if you rewrite a book like this as a movie, unless you really F it up, you're not doing too much screenwriting. Because basically it kind of has a lot of good stuff in it already. So Christmas Carol 1938 and A Christmas Carol 1951. It's also known as Scrooge. Then we did Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, which is the Christmas Carol with Mr. Magoo and songs.
Yes, framed as a stage production.
Right.
Which is an interesting take on it.
And that was a TV special, so we do occasionally veer over into television. Then there was
TV movie equals movie.
Yeah. Then there was a Christmas Carol with George C. Scott, which, again, it's pretty well done. I mean, again, they're all basically the same story unless you really mess it up.
Yeah.
So then we Lethal Weapon. Now, if you remember the movie, there's a scene where it takes place at a Christmas tree lot.
Yeah.
So qualifies Christmas. And the same with Running Scared. You might not think of that. It takes place in the winter, and there's one scene in this big office complex where they have a giant Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So, Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Really minimal requirements. Then we go back to another rendition of this book, Scrooge,
Yeah.
and we haven't even done like the Bill Murray
Yeah.
version of it, which is trying to make fun of it.
Yeah. Fun fact: Christmas Carol has never gone out of print.
Right. Yeah, and it's not a bad book. I read it, and it's not. It doesn't take like weeks and weeks. It's not like Harry Potter. You can read that pretty quickly. It's a, you kind of like you'll be very familiar when you read it. Go, oh yeah, okay, this is what happened. But I think it's slightly different. I think the ghosts are over 3 nights as opposed to all 3 in one night. But that'd be harder to do in a movie. Miracle on 34th Street. Surprisingly good.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. I guess you could say because we finally saw it, we came around to it.
Right. And it starts out at Thanksgiving with the Macy's parade and ends up at Christmas. And it's not a bad movie. I really...
I wouldn't mind watching that again at some point.
All right. And we might. The next one was A Tale of Gloucester.
Yeah, The Tale of Gloucester. So... the book was originally published in 1903. It's Beatrix Potter's third Tales book, and is also her personal favorite.
Right, and it was again, it was a TV production. I think I want to say for the BBC or some.
Yeah, it was a BBC production,
and we enjoyed that.
Yes.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
That one's a classic.
And this is not the Ron Howard retelling of it, but it's actually the original.
Or the Illumination version.
Right. This is the Boris Karloff television version from the 60s. So, yes.
Traditionally animated version.
Right. And it's very memorable. And but it's like, it was good for what it was, and they had it stretched out, I assume, to make a motion picture out of it. And why? There's certain movies why remake stuff.
Yeah.
I don't, sometimes it's just good as it is.
As we go through this list, I guess I keep answering the question at the beginning, like favorite ones. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one I like to watch.
Okay. Laurel and Hardy, Babes in Toyland, also known as The March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Yes.
This was sort of unique, is that it was, I want to say, a television station or somebody ended up owning the rights to it, so it was harder and harder to see. But it's not my favorite Laurel and Hardy film.
Right.
It's a little. I don't want to say the girl from the 30s Alice in Wonderland's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they can't all be winners.
No. It's a classic of its own, but it's not my favorite of their movies.
Like not one we'd jump in and watch again.
Right. Yeah, it's not one of those. Oh, it's that one.
Yeah.
Flip. The Santa Claus, the first one.
Yeah. I know I saw that a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
I still really like it.
Yeah, it's fun. But now they're doing a series.
Yeah. Okay, so they did first movie, then they did the second one, and the third one, and they're doing now on Disney Plus. They have a mini series that's kind of a fourth entry.
Yeah, it's sort of the idea of it used to be you did a movie and you do a sequel, and then now you have to do a trilogy.
Yeah.
And then now you wait 20 years and do some more with it. So
yeah, I personally don't mind rewatching Santa Claus.
I don't mind the Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
I don't mind the Santa Claus. It's just the idea that just come up with something new.
Yeah.
Deadpool.
Once Upon a Deadpool,
right,
which is a PG-13 re-edit of Deadpool 2 with new footage with Fred Savage.
Yeah. Yes.
And it uses the framing device from Princess Bride.
Right. And that's Christmas how?
Because the framing device is Christmas.
Okay. Sounds good.
I personally think Once Upon a Deadpool is worth watching, even if you've seen Deadpool 2, and maybe Super Duper Cut.
Which we all have. yeah, it's a little weird now because Fred Savage got sort of into trouble.
Right.
But yeah.
By the time we saw it, it was really
Yeah, by the time he had not done what he did.
Yeah.
Then there is the man who invented Christmas, the guy who wrote this book, a movie about Charles Dickens. And
We're going to hold this book up a lot.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. It was a
Yeah.
very enjoyable movie, and you kind of get the sense of him the creative process he was going through and talking to the characters. And if you're a writer, you've done this before.
Yeah.
You've had these conversations with your own characters and stuff. And so it's a very well done movie, I thought. Then we have another film noir, Cover Up. Okay. No, and that's
I don't
it,
know. Watched a lot of film.
yeah, it's about a guy he's investigating. There's a murder in town of some well-to-do guy, well-liked guy, or supposedly well-liked guy, and you find out who actually killed him, and it takes place at Christmas.
So it counts.
Yeah. Holiday Affair,
Yeah.
Robert Mitchum and Janet Leigh. It's and of course there's Wendell Corey, who plays Milk Toast by comparison to Robert Mitchum. It's about she's a price shopper,
Yeah.
and she gets he's a salesman at, I want to say Macy's, I may be wrong at the time, and she gets him fired, and he gets the son a train set that he wanted, and
Oh, yeah.
and they ended up, the cute little device at the end where they're on a train and then they're actually in a train track, kind of like a kid's train set. Cute. But it's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, now I remember it was good.
Yeah. Okay. The Big Bad Fox. One of the segments.
And other tales.
And one of the other tales is about Christmas.
Yeah.
And is this the French production?
Yeah.
And actually all the tales are pretty good, actually. They're quite enjoyable, but the Christmas, we have to make it Christmas.
Yeah. One thing about Big Bad Fox I'll say before we move on is we watched the English dub.
Yes.
And what we liked was that they still had, even though it was dubbed into English, it still had a European flavor to it, because the voice actors were like English, and they still used some French
expressions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And honorifics.
Okay. Then there's The Last Picture Show. Again, Christmas all over that. But there's a big segment of the film that takes place at Christmas.
Yeah.
So we included that. Kind of, a lot of good acting in it, but not necessarily my favorite. Let's watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think all those movies, there's a silent version of A Christmas Carol that we also reviewed, and it sort of, as you would imagine, sort of speed runs the story.
Yeah.
And I forgot what year it's made in 1910 by the Edison Company. So you can imagine it's very early take on the film.
Yeah.
Take on the story.
It was basically Scrooge Redemption speedrun world record.
Right. Yes, very quick, very done. Then, of course, everyone's favorite Christmas film, The Thin Man, mostly because that does take place. There's part of it takes place at Christmas.
Yeah.
I think the dinner is a Christmas or a holiday dinner, so it qualifies. Then there is 8-Bit Christmas.
Yeah. That came out like
a year or two ago.
Yeah. Well, it came out during COVID.
Right.
That one was actually pretty good. We just kind of took a chance on it, and we ended up liking it.
Right.
It's kind of an updated take on Christmas Story. Okay. In a sense.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Kind of family and memory and all that.
Yeah, but it was I guess more relatable to more of our generation because it involved getting the NES.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. That was a whole sequence about that.
Yeah, so there was stuff in there that felt more relatable for again, like millennials.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And it was I would consider it potentially a modern classic.
All right.
I could definitely see I could definitely see rewatching that at some point.
And that is currently on HBO Max, which will be changing names or something at some point. Max Plus
or just Max. We'll see.
I think it'd be fun if they just came out with just Plus.
Yeah, but Christmas, I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. And then the Man in Black, Batman, Batman Returns. Yeah. That actually has it's in and around Christmas and the lighting of the tree and all that stuff.
I'm saying The Dark Knight as in the nickname for Batman, not the movie The Dark.
Right. So it's Batman Returns. That was a little, with the Penguin actually. It was a little.
Yeah, how the first movie was. The first Tim Burton Batman was Tim Burton. This one's even more Tim Burton.
Yeah,
I guess that's the only way I could think of it.
Okay. Again, not my favorite version of Batman. I really like Batman animated stuff way more than the live action.
Yeah.
Okay,
even the animated version of the live action stuff.
Yeah, Holly and the Ivy. It's a British film. It's about a family dealing with a lot of issues at Christmas time. And the father is a pastor.
Yeah.
And it's just all the kids are grown, coming back home, and they're all sort of. There's a lot of interfamily kind of going back and forth. It's drama.
Yeah.
So at Christmas time, Little Women. We did the 1933 version. I think like every decade there's another version of Little Women.
Yeah,
that's
made.
Sounds
right.
Because I know there's a 40s version. I know they did one probably in this, the 2000s. There's a version of it, and so it's one of those go back and let's do that again. And they usually come out around Christmas time, and Christmas is in there.
Yeah, I think I've read with Little Women. An interesting thing about adaptations is that even though it's the same it's the same setting and story. Certain aspects of it reflect the time it was made.
Yeah, and which is probably true. And it's actually, I remember being a kid and Little Women was one of the books you could read, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds dull as dishwasher." But it's actually it's a very intriguing story. It's really good.
Yeah. And
so maybe someday I'll read the book. But recommend Little Women. Again, we did the 33, but there's one for every decade.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end of what we've done so far. But we've actually done one this year, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, the holiday special.
Which is the end of Phase 4.
Yes, the last entry in the MCU Phase 4.
Which would be a TV thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's movies and television.
Yeah, but we counted it because it was a Christmas special.
Right.
And we actually liked it, I think.
Yeah, it's all right.
I liked it.
That was good.
It was one of the few things I actually liked from Phase 4.
And this was shot while they were making Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3.
Yeah.
And that's before James Gunn went over and effed up DC. But that's another tale for another day.
The Suicide Squad, he improved DC.
Yeah. But
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's a messed up thing over there. They need to kind of figure that out. So that was the first one. Coming up this Saturday, tomorrow, if you're watching this live, and probably nobody is Big Business, which is a Laurel and Hardy, and they're doing something kind of weird. They go door to door selling trees.
Yeah,
which is you kind of get the
classic Laurel and Hardy.
It's sort of like one of those. It's hard to relate to now that people don't go door to door selling trees.
Yeah,
and I remember there was it's reminding me of one of the MST3K shorts they did. Was a guy who would go door to door selling cars.
Yeah.
Like what? I don't open the door now. I can imagine. Oh, yeah, I'll sure buy a car from you. But it's about door to door sales. And then I think this is the one where they destroy a house, and it's the wrong house. Supposedly, they had rented a house to destroy, and they went to the wrong address. And
yeah,
that at least is the story that makes it fun. And then we're doing Home Alone.
Yes.
The bad parenting film of all time.
Yeah, Home Alone. That was I forgot if we had seen it, but we were too young to actually remember it, and then we saw it later, or we saw it for the first time. But
I think it was the first time I'd seen it when we saw it.
I think I ended up actually liking it. Maybe not as much as other people,
right?
But it was still kind of fun.
Enough to see it. They did 3 more sequels, didn't they?
At least.
Yeah.
I think they're on 6 actually.
Oh, okay.
On Disney Plus, they put out a 6th one.
Let's beat this to death.
And at some point they used a different kid.
Yeah, well, they have to.
I think even in the original trilogy, they wasn't always Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. 40-year-old, I'm coming.
But I could see why other people would.
At the time, it was kind of fun.
Yeah. And Chris Columbus directed that one.
Right.
So there's also a mild Harry Potter vibe in there with at least the intro, because he also collaborated with John Williams.
Right. Yeah.
Just like he did with the first 2 Harry Potter movies.
John Williams. Yes. I don't know if you never saw, there was the SCTV would have these the Schmengi brothers, I think, they were like this Oompa.
I'm just gonna have to believe you.
They had this I forgot the culture they were supposed to represent, some European thing, and they would put a hat on the tree as the topper, and it was like they always would talk. John Williams seemed like it's a big deal for him.
Right.
Sorry, that got off. And then we're also going to put up on Christmas Eve A Star in the Night, which is a kind of another retelling of the Christmas story, not A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
But the birth of Christ and all that.
Yeah.
Which is what Christmas is really all about. We kind of lose track of that. Anyway, so those and then we have plenty more. We were just going over the movies that we've already reviewed that are Christmas related.
Yeah.
And I think we're good for probably going to be 2025 before we're need to review something new. But anyway, that's sort of a look at the blog.
Yeah.
Now, the blog is also having an anniversary on the 18th.
Yes.
And you want to give us a sneak peek of what you're going to review? And what year is this? The 11th, 12th, or... Oh, yeah, you can look right on the thing.
Not quite.
Oh, 2014.
All right, so this would be the it was 12th. No, yeah.
Yeah,
12th anniversary.
Okay.
So for this year, last year I did Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, because that was a huge title, and it also ended up being relevant at the time because of the terrible remaster, in all the air quotes possible.
Okay.
So I didn't think I had to do anything as big this time.
Right.
So this year I decided to look at Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days.
Okay.
Now, I haven't played the original Kane and Lynch, subtitled Dead Men, but I got the impression you didn't need to play Kane and Lynch 2. There are a couple reasons I picked Kane and Lynch 2. One, I'm aware that the gameplay I actually say from playing it. The gameplay isn't anything to write home about.
Okay.
But the story, there isn't much of a story, but it's still interesting how it shows realistic consequences for realistic violence.
Okay.
And it's also interesting how it just kind of everything escalates out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But what really motivated us to Trevor and I to want to play it is the very unique presentation, which looks like it was shot and edited with a handheld camera.
Oh, okay.
We were at the time that the game came out, that was people docked. That was a point against the game, but we always actually thought that looked very interesting and unique, so it stood out and was like, that actually looks interesting.
Okay.
So that's one reason. The other reason is because a few weeks ago I got Gamer's Thumb,
Mm-hmm.
or I had never experienced that before, despite gaming for hours and hours, for days in a row, for like probably at least 20 years.
Right. Yeah.
So
Ever since we got the PS2.
Yeah. Anyway, despite gaming for so long, I actually got it, so that limited what I could play. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is only 4 hours long and is structured in a way you can theoretically play it in bursts.
Okay.
So I've been able to handle playing it for like 20-ish minutes at a time. At the time I'm recording this, I'm almost done with it. But anyway, its short length is something that I thought I could handle.
Okay. Sounds good.
After that, I was gonna like not play a console game until I was better.
Okay. So, and the first, for people that don't know, what was the first thing you reviewed?
Tron Legacy. And that first review is probably the worst one I've ever written, or one of the worst, because I was new to it.
Yeah, but you've re-reviewed it.
Yeah, and actually for the 1000th, I re-reviewed it, and I think that review, if you look at that review against the first time I looked at it, you'll see a jarring change in my writing ability.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I mean, the blog gets like over 100 hits a day usually.
Yeah.
So you've done something good. All right. So I think that is about all for the. Oh, wait, one more thing. How would people find Trophy Unlocked?
TrophyUnlocked.blogspot.com.
And it's also a link on our website under media and other media. I think there's a link to it
Right.
as well. So no excuse not to find it.
Right, so if you're watching this on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell if you want to see more. And if you have any opinions on Christmas movies, whether you agree or disagree with what we've said, leave a comment below.
Yeah, so, and we hope to hear from you then. All right, so until next week, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.